rush you feel when you're going fast with this is completely wild. Sometimes it feels like my heart almost stops. And even after I crashed, broke my collarbone, 6 ribs, I still want to race motorcycles. Why is that? We'll have 2 scientists and a motorcycle world champion to unpack this. And what better opportunity to learn everything about this than here in Valencia with World SBK Champion Troy Corser and the BMW S1000 RR with 200 horsepower. Ooh, that's a fast BMW.
Yes, it sure is.
How do you feel like under the helmet when you go 300 kilometers an hour with such a thing like that?
The speed thing can scare people quite a lot. What I've learned is it's actually where you look when you're going fast. You can make it feel and look really, really fast for you mentally, or we can slow it all down, and that's basically what we teach you guys at the racetrack here.
Little did I know how this would shake me up, but first here are a couple of obvious things that make speed exciting.
The adrenaline that gets released makes your heart beat faster. Everything just flies by you, the noises. It's very different compared to sitting in an office space.
And just like that, everything overwhelmed me.
That's not the way I imagined this to go. Yeah.
I just lost it.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm totally okay. I'm totally okay. How do you like get back after stuff like this, or like injuries, or why does that scare you off?
Obviously in the beginning it does, but as you get racing, you need to put that stuff completely out of your mind, okay? As long as you know what you've done wrong, that helps a lot. If you have a crash where you really don't know, you weren't sure, but I've seen it, so this now should give you the confidence that, okay, you just need to change the way you ride and that won't happen again. Welcome to the school.
Welcome to the school.
I felt completely gutted. Total disappointment like only a few times in my life before. If it wouldn't have been for my girlfriend who gave me a hug and said that I should continue doing what I love, I would have stopped going on a racetrack straight away.
So, because my suit is like shot now, I need to change.
The different reactions of Troy and me about crashing and speed are also linked to our psychological thrill-seeking tendencies.
Sensation seeking is your desire for complex situations and your ability to want to do that despite the risks there may be.
This is Ken Carter, clinical psychologist and host of this show. Just perfect for this video. He also developed a test to determine how much of a sensation seeker you are. This is done by sorting out how high you rank in the components of experience seeking, boredom, disinhibition, and adventure seeking.
So there are different profiles for different kinds of sensation seekers. The first 2 categories tell me the kinds of things you might do, and the last 2 categories tell me how much trouble you might get into by doing those things. But most of the people I've interviewed, most people who do sensation seeking or thrill seeking as part of their careers, don't score that high on those last 2 components. They're really measured and careful about the way they attack things.
And super interestingly, this has a lot to do with your parents.
A lot of sensation seeking is genetic. Maybe about 70% of it tends to sort of run in families and can be genetic. There's some environmental components to it as well, but a lot of it has to do with the chemicals that are in our body, but also being exposed to unusual things when you're young makes it easier for you to tolerate it as you grow up. So if you have two high sensation-seeking parents, they're probably going to introduce you to, driving fast and eating unusual foods earlier in your life. And even though it might not be genetic completely, there are going to be some environmental things that can influence it for sure.
Same with Troy. His parents used to put him on a motorcycle as young as 5 years old and ride with him until he could take over.
I've never experienced anything like that in my life. Oh my God. Look at this. You put the fear of God in me. I think I was never really afraid for my life, but damn close. After I've ridden with you, do you have a death wish?
No, like I said, that for me, that's quite calm, steady. That's not taking any risk whatsoever. Obviously, I don't want to crash for myself, but for you also. But that really is quite smooth. Although I go faster, it doesn't get any more scary. I just go faster, brake a bit harder, open the throttle a bit sooner.
How in the world do you lose the fear for that? I almost myself.
Well, obviously, I've been riding since I was 5 years old on dirt bikes. I've been racing for 30 years. So for me, this is second nature.
And you don't feel like a speed rush when you're doing that?
No, not at all, really. Like I said before, because I'm looking far ahead, it doesn't feel fast because I'm 4 seconds down the track. So there's no panic. I know exactly where I'm going to brake. And if you look too close, you can lose that. So that's why it feels fast or looks fast, but it's not. So that's why vision is key. Good job.
Yeah, I got to say good job. Yeah, that is one fearless person. I tell you, what a
So this is the psychological side of things.
But what actually happens up here when you're doing 220 kilometers an hour?
There are different factors that make you realize, holy crap, I'm going really fast. One being the balance system in your ear. With very fine hairs, it's tracking in which direction you're going. The eyes are tracking how quickly everything else is moving compared to yourself. That info gets sent to your brain.
But this smart brain of yours has even more ways to tell you how fast you're going.
The brain's own sat-nav. It's placed in the hippocampus and the entorhinal cortex. A variety of cells decode your location, the direction, boundaries in the environment, and the speed. But how do these cells actually work?
Their activity ramps up with the running speed of the animals.
This is Christian Döller, psychologist specialized in neuroscience.
It's effectively correlating with the running speed of the animal. The cell firing is independent of visual information, for instance, and so it doesn't have to do with optic flow, for instance. And the information is interesting in the cells encoding the speed 50 to 80 milliseconds, I think, ahead in time. So as if the cell firing encodes the predicted speed in the future, anticipating the speed level.
The problem is that we cannot say right now how all of these informations from the cell and from our eyes interact with the joy center of our brain. Troy, do you still get that rush sensation when you're on a motorcycle?
Well, yes, I do. Obviously, riding the bike is what it's all about. It's not so much about the ultimate lap time and stuff. Obviously, you're going to have speed involved, but it's more the technique and the joy of having some fun, doing some wheelies and slides and stuff. But ultimately, helping you guys to be better riders and safer riders out there on track.
Is this rush sensation connected to speed?
I think initially probably yes, but as everything, the more you do it, the more used you get to it. Muscle memory, we call it. So for me, 300 kilometers per hour doesn't feel 300 kilometers an hour.
This feeling of not being completely overwhelmed like I am on the bike sometimes could be explained as a flow state, which I'm going to explain in a minute. According to Ken Carter, there is a pattern that differentiates normal peeps from crazy nutjob high sensation seekers. It has to do with dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, and cortisol, one of our stress hormones.
High sensation seekers have a really interesting combination in terms of the triggers and amount of those two chemicals. They tend to not produce that much cortisol when they're in chaotic situations. So if they're on a motorcycle or in a roller coaster or even in a car accident, they're not going to produce as much cortisol. Cortisol for me makes me overwhelmed and heart racing and sort of fighting that, in that fight, flight, or freeze response. But while they're not producing that much cortisol, they tend to produce lots and lots of dopamine. So when they're in those chaotic situations, they feel more pleasure, but less stress. So for them, it's a really great combination of a fun feeling that's not overwhelming.
And dopamine is what leads us back to the flow state. The best translation is probably being in the zone. You stop thinking about time or yourself. The task can be challenging, but you don't worry about that at all. You just enjoy it.
It even helps letting frustration go, which means it could be beneficial for your health.
A feeling, a sense of awe. And so awe is an amazing emotion where your mind is sort of open wider. To me, beautiful sunsets, being at the beach creates that sense of awe for me. And it releases these chemicals like interleukin-6 that sort of tamps down the inflammation response. High sensation seekers, of course, find awe in chaotic environments. So we know that there actually may be a health benefit to finding awe in your life.
This goes to show speed is dangerous and it can kill you. But on the racetrack, it's not all about going fast. It's about braking, it's about hitting the apex. All of these techniques that make it so exciting. After my crash, I was really thinking about stopping doing it, throwing everything away. But then again, on the racetrack, it gives you this feeling, just this little feeling which you cannot stop doing it.
If you love racing as much as I do and did enjoy the video, leave a comment and hit subscribe to our channel.